Abductive inference really refers to reasoning backwards from evidence to the causes of those evidence. So we have the evidence in our senses, we need to reason backwards. And Peirce pointed out that actually this is one of the shakiest, most fragile, most tenuous forms of logical inference that you could have. He referred to it as guessing. And the reason it's guessing is that for any given sensory experience that we have, there is myriad, multiple, infinite number of possible causes that could have given rise to that. And we are stuck with having to make a decision about what could have been that cause. As Peirce put it, he said, the whole fabric of our knowledge is a matted felt of pure hypothesis. But we seem to get by. We do manage. And the reason that we manage is actually captured in a theorem that was developed by this 18th century Presbyterian minister, Thomas Bayes. Many of you will have heard of Bayes' theorem. You'll certainly come across it more and more in neuroscience nowadays. And Bayes pointed out, and in fact Bayes, although he didn't use the term, was talking about this form of abductive inference, about working out the causes based on the evidence. And he suggested that the optimal way to do this is to take the evidence, but also to take what you already know, what your prior experience and expectation is, and fit those together and resolve the ambiguity like that. So imagine you're walking down a country lane, let's say in Devon, and you hear the clip-clop of hoof taps up around the bend. You confidently expect that what will come around the corner next is a horse. But actually the evidence you have doesn't tell you that necessarily. I mean, who can tell the hoof taps of a horse from a zebra or a camel or somebody banging a couple of coconut shells together? The evidence itself is ambiguous. But of course it's your prior knowledge that what's most likely to be around the corner in Devon is a horse, not a zebra. And that's essentially the insight provided by Bayes' theorem and the notion of the inference that we apply to the world. There's good evidence that this sort of inference also occurs at lower, unconscious perceptual levels, and we're doing it all the time. Looking at this image here, to many of you who haven't seen what I've seen, a meaningless collection of black and white blobs. To me, it's not. To me, it's a very, very meaningful picture. I can see a lot in it. I can see that there's a woman. I can see that she's young. I can see she's wearing a hat. I can see that she's happy. And I can see that she's kissing a horse. And the reason I can see all that is not necessarily because I'm hallucinating, although there's an element of that, actually, I think. But it's because I've seen this image. And this image was the original image from which the first one was created. Now, having given you that prior information, that prior expectation, it becomes more possible that some of you may now be able to look at the image and see the woman kissing the horse. This also works in the auditory domain. If you listen to this, to many of you that will sound like a sort of meaningless bird-songy type sound. To me, actually, it's highly meaningful. And the reason it's meaningful to me is I have prior expectations and prior knowledge. My prior knowledge comes from having heard this.
The camel was kept in a cage at the zoo.
So now you have that prior experience and prior knowledge. Will you be able to apply it to the original sound? It's very, very striking just how automatic and easy it is to now make sense of what was previously noise merely because of what you brought to the table. So that's great. We've got a